Larry Maynard, a 15-year-old boy who was out riding his bicycle one afternoon on a beautiful sunny day, spotted Tina and decided he was going to get to know her. Tina and Larry were both very academic. They were very driven, sports-oriented, not a lazy bone in their body, ambitious, young lovers. Matthew was quiet and shy, a little bit quirky and weird, but not standoffish. He had his fair share of friends, and he was pretty easy to get along with. Upon graduating high school, Larry and Tina get themselves an apartment and begin to start themselves a little family, where Sarah Maynard is first born, and a few short years later, Kody Maynard follows. As Matthew grew into his teenage years, he became more troublesome. When he graduated high school, he decided he was going to move from Ohio to Colorado and take up the profession of plumbing. Upon doing so, he found himself in a whole heap of trouble. Wonderful family, parents who dote on their children, both of them very kind and loving. It's a wonderful atmosphere for a child to grow up in. Larry suggests that they move. He has a better job opportunity over here and more stability. With this move comes new physical surroundings and new adventures, new hardships, and new joys and laughter. Tina then meets Stephanie, and they are two peas in a pod. They get along so well that very quickly they become best friends. Outgoing, ambitious, joy to be around. One of those people that just radiates light no matter what their mood. Both Stephanie and Tina were described as such. Eventually, Larry and Tina would divorce. Within this divorce, there would be a little inkling of bickering going on, and then Larry soon realized that he still loved Tina, and arguing and getting mad would not be beneficial, especially hurtful to the children. So Tina and Larry decided that they were going to have a functioning relationship, a working relationship, and they remained friends throughout their divorce. One day, while working alongside his boss in an effort to install a garbage disposal in a condominium whose owner happened to be away on vacation, Matthew's life would take a turn for the worse. Larry eventually finds himself a new love interest, and he starts a new family with his beloved. And Tina, she finds herself a new boyfriend and seems to carry on with her life as well. Larry and his new family are relocating to Florida, where he has yet an even better job opportunity. Knowing that the owner of the condominium was away and was going to be away for a little while, Matthew decided to occupy this owner's space, and he actually made himself at home. He was cooking his meals there, he was showering there, sleeping there, even going as far as to use the jacuzzi. He borrowed the owner of the condominium's car and went joyriding in it. He decided he wanted a little keepsake, so he stole 3 oversized road signs welcoming visitors to Colorado. He took those signs and he hid them in his motel room where he was staying, and also underneath the porch of the motel office. He claimed they were keepsakes. If someone is going to keep a sake, I don't know any who are going to stash them in their motel room and then leave Dodge. But that's exactly what Matthew did. He was quickly tracked down and advised it would be in his best interest to pay a visit to the local police station, which surprisingly Matthew did. Tina, ever so used to always being in the vicinity of Larry, decides that she might want to relocate her family to Florida as well. Larry and his new wife are welcoming with open arms. Come on down, we'd love to have you as neighbors. Unfortunately, that did not happen. After an investigation and a question and answering, Matthew was booked. He was arrested and he was placed in prison for 6 to 8 years. When Matthew was released from prison after a 6-year stay, he decided he was going to go back to Ohio, where his mother still resided, and start his life anew. He got a girlfriend who had an 8-year-old son, who Matthew helped this son do his homework, and they went outside and they fed the squirrels, and they were starting to become somewhat of a family. Matthew's life seemed to have calmed down a bit, until one day when it wasn't. Matthew's 2 dogs had gone missing, and it was presumed by the neighbors that Matthew had offed them. Matthew, who once took great enjoyment in feeding the squirrels, no longer found solace in doing so. Now something more sinister was brewing. No longer had he the desire to feed the squirrels, but rather to bait, trap, butcher, cook, and eat the squirrels. Very disturbing behavior. Eventually, Matthew's girlfriend left him. Along with that, Matthew had lost his job as a tree trimmer. All alone, with no girlfriend, no family, no job, in a cold, dark, damp house, Matthew started to go stir crazy. The Girl in the Leaves by Robert Scott, assisted by Sarah and Larry Maynard. Sarah being the victim of this story. Larry, a victim in his own right. That was his daughter. That was his ex-wife. That was his son. Eventually, the neighbors thought Matthew was growing more and more peculiar. Remember when we said that Matthew had a fondness for trees back in the beginning of this video? Well, it still rang true. Matthew would climb trees to the tippy top, perched like some sort of bird, and just sit there for hours, scoping out his surroundings. Pretty odd behavior for an adult, wouldn't you say? One day, Matthew decides he's going to camp out behind Tina's house. Nobody knew he was there, and he just sat there overnight in the cold, watching and waiting, because his intentions were he was going to rob Tina of some of her belongings. Tina Herman, Stephanie Sprang, Sarah, and Kody were all in the wrong place at the wrong time, but yet in a place where they absolutely belonged. Tina comes home with a bag full of groceries. Stephanie comes over to visit her best friend Tina so they can go house hunting. Sarah and Kody come home from school shortly thereafter, and the scene is set. A gruesome, horrific, terrifying tale of a madman who had a fascination with trees. A madman who stuffed garbage bags full of leaves to the point of exploding, stacking these garbage bags one on top of another, and filling rooms and rooms of his house with these bags. Perplexed by all the garbage bags full of leaves, what did it mean? What did the drawings on his bathroom wall signify? The SWAT team was brought in. The police did an excellent job. Days to solve, thank goodness. A book that is simply unputdownable. And now I leave you with these parting words from Marcus Aurelius. Waste no time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Toodles.